right, so let's jump into today's show. The first year after the paycheck stops. So many times we're sitting in front of a client and they're like, man, I'm just ready to hit that retirement button. And then they hit the retirement button. But as they're hitting the retirement button, they're a little nervous. Like, hey, can we do another planning meeting?
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's this anxiety that goes around, which is totally normal.
Very.
But then you're in your first year. So let's talk about this anxiety, which I think is really, it's real. Like, none of us have really retired.
So
but we've gone through this hundreds of times with our clients.
Right.
So disclaimer, we're talking about this through the lens of our clients, but we're not talking from experience.
And sometimes
right.
like you feel like you're there. Like you feel like you're there.
Yeah. You've gone through it
So many
emotionally.
times. Yeah.
So retirement planning, you know, or hitting the retirement button may feel like the finish line, like, you know, the day, like it's, you know, January 3rd is going to be my last day or whatever. That'd be a dumb, because you'd retire before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Or just a random August 10th, you know, or whatever it is. You're like, that's going to be my retirement. Like, okay, I'm just getting to that day. And then you retire and you're like, wait, there's a whole new set of challenges. So let's talk about the prep leading up to that. And then let's talk about the reality of what happens when you're in retirement. So let's back up and start about the prep first. What would be advice, or what have we seen with clients like leading in to retirement?
Well, that's the perfect time to practice. Is that 1 to 2 years out, you know, as we plan our whole kind of strategy and everything that we start talking about initially is like, one, yes, when do you want to retire? But how much income do you need in retirement? So if you've been living on much more because you're earning money and you're saving and there's all these things going on, you're getting bonuses, but yet your income is drastically, or even just a little bit, is going to change when you move into retirement, the amount you're wanting to live on. That 1 to 2 years out is a great time to start practicing living on that amount.
Well, yeah. And so many times you get in front of a client, they're living on, you know, $180,000 between the husband and the wife. And they're like, you know, I'm just burned out. I want to retire. Well, how much do you think you can, you know, what do you think you can afford in retirement? Well, 50 grand.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because I have to hit the retirement button.
Right.
Why are you laughing over there? You've heard that before, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and you're just like, wait, you're going to go from 180 to 50?
Right.
And then you're going to go back to work in 3 months? Because you're like, what was I thinking?
Yes.
Yeah, you're in a terrible state. I get that. But sometimes trying to force your way into a situation might not be the most logical. That's where that practice year really becomes valuable, because then the reality sets in, like, what were we thinking?
Yes.
That gets us through like May. You know? Like, what are we going to do the rest of the year?
That's right.
Well, so many people think that budgeting means spend less. No, budgeting almost just means know what you're spending. Like, know what you've got and what you're going to spend and what the difference is, because that becomes even more important when you get to retirement. Do you know what it takes to live the life of your dreams? Like, do you know what that costs? Because when you first asked that question, I was going to say, I have some clients who, to your point, will say they're going to live on half of what they've been living on when they have a full day now. And they're the people who work, you know, 26 hours in a 24-hour day. And you're like, oh, so now you're going to sit at home.
You had no time to spend money.
You had no time to spend money, but you spent triple what you're going to spend in retirement.
Right.
I hope you've got an awesome wife that's not sick of you yet, or spouse, whatever. But no, I think the answer depends on the personality and the emotions and what they've been through, what they've been through. But I just want to throw out their budgeting. Don't wait to create what you're going to spend in retirement when you get into that first year.
Why are you talking about budgeting? Is this something that you talk about often?
This is kind of
a new Nikki thing?
Yeah.
Just a brand new thing. Just a brand new thing. I didn't come out of the womb thinking that or anything. My dad can hear me talking about this. He had me doing the spreadsheet from the get-go.
So budgeting, so put it into context, like, because a lot of people hear the word budget and they shut down.
Right.
So how can we put this in a context where they're not going to shut down?
Well, you will laugh, but I've told more people to spend more money when we budget than to spend less. So all I was trying to say with that is, don't think of a budget as that means we're telling you or you're telling yourself to spend less. When I say budget, just to clarify for the room, it's know your business. I call it knowing your business. You speak to people who know their businesses so well for 40 years. They're very good at what they do. We've got a lot of very talented people. They know what they spend. They know what their highs and low, top end, bottom line. Do you know what you spend on a high month and on a low month? Do you know what you spend on a month that was a great family month where you guys had everything perfect? Do you know what you spent in a month where you felt like you didn't do anything and you weren't fulfilled? So just know your business, know your numbers ahead of when you turn off the spigot for retirement. Whether that means you've got a yacht and a boat and 17 houses, or you're living in a simple 2-bedroom home. It doesn't matter. It's your life, but just know your spending.
Know your business.
Know your business.
Know your business.
It's important. You can steal my line. All my clients are out there laughing. Know your business. Know your business.
Stay out of my business, but know yours.
But know yours. And if you need help knowing your business, I'll help you. But you better know yours.
Okay, so I love the budgeting aspect. We're not going to call it budget. We're going to call it know your business.
Know your business.
And then we're going to do this practice year. How does the practice year of knowing your business and living on the budget you're setting gonna really help set the tone? And I want to throw in the reality of dividends.
I was gonna say, yeah.
You know, because at this point, when you've got you want to set up your retirement paycheck before you retire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we're in a rhythm in while you're working. You exchange your time, you get paid,
Right.
gets deposited, you live your life, you know your world, you know your business. And then you're getting ready to retire and you're like, well, wait, what am I going to live on? You don't want to wait and figure
Right.
it out. You want to set that up ahead of time. So when you're paying attention to your dividend investment income, that's a game changer because you're like, well, that's my paycheck.
Right.
So you're going to lose your work paycheck and live on your retirement paycheck, which is your dividend. So practicing, getting that all set up beforehand. Like there's so many times when clients are like, yeah, I'm going to retire at 67. Then they see all that paycheck, from their dividends. And they're like, well, I'm getting paid this at work. I'm getting paid this in my investments. Do I want to wait till 67?
Mm-hmm.
And those are people that have been practicing for years.
Right.
Right.
And in that reality, that's when they come back to us and they're like, can I just retire now? Which we've had a lot of those conversations.
Yeah.
Not to bring up, this is just a big one. People chase after a percentage growth number. And so many years that makes them, they keep waiting because they don't know what they need. Sometimes people will live 10 years ahead of retirement better when they know what they've got coming in because they have a plan and they're not just chasing some percentage growth number until they hit that finish line. So some people say, you know what? I'm okay with my retirement income. So I can actually enjoy a handful of the years going into it when I didn't realize I could. So many people get caught up in just throwing it forward. I'm going to that first question you said.
Just you. Just point at you.
Well, I'm going to that first question. Well, then I get yelled at. You guys can only see the side of my face. So I get yelled at. But no, I'm going back to that first question you say. I think so many people get caught up in a percentage and throwing it forward and they wait to live in retirement and then they get sick. Or they wait to live in retirement and they lose their spouse. They wait to live in retirement. And what is that? Know now. Know now.
Know your business.
Know your business now. And enjoy it now, not just when you get to retirement.
That's
for all you people who work too much.
You know what? I'm making fun of you a little bit here, but what
up.
you just said is gold. Like getting clients to enjoy life. You don't want to retire from something. You want to retire towards something.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's this emotional hangover. There's this, this issue that they deal with, leaving what they've always known. And again, speaking through the experience of our clients, not my own. But the reality is so many of our clients, so many investors are like, they live in fear. So let's kind of walk through that first year.
Yeah, and you've spent 30 years, 40 years doing something. You wake up, you go do something.
Your identity.
Yeah. And now you're trading that, right? Like I think a lot of times we look at retirement as this destination.
Right.
And it's really not. Like it's just a turning of the page, really. It's that second chapter that you're bringing. So you've got to start walking into that. And man, it is interesting to see clients as they start to turn the corner there.
I feel like that's two shows. Like we're talking about the paycheck today, but we just turned the corner into identity. And identity is just as important, if not as important, as the paycheck. Because once you can set up the paycheck, the new paycheck, the retirement paycheck from dividends and different streams of income, Social Securities and, some of those pensions, that frees you from the anxiety of fear that I'm going to run out. Once you have that, it's okay. What's my identity now in retirement?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what am I going to do now that I'm not known for being this person?
Mm-hmm.
Now I need to be known for what? And so many of our conversations with our clients now, it revolves around that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Like,
the
I don't know
refaming.
who
That
am I?
second half,
Yeah.
that second half concept. I'll always remember you coaching one of my Frito clients early on what are you going to do next? And they literally looked at you. I'll never forget it. And I was looking at myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no idea. And that's where the concept of knowing your business is. Like your identity, and that was an awesome point, is become your job, your parenting. Now your kids in a lot of cases are out.
Yeah.
You're not going to the ball game on Sunday. You actually have to create what you're doing, right? You're not going to work every day and you're not in control, right? In the way that you once were on your financials. So knowing your home business and what you have to live on and what you need to live on, the sooner the better, right? And it's not a percentage. It's the income that you're solving for. And that help that identity be a little clearer.
So let's really quick reframe the rest of today's show, because I feel like we're skirting the line of a different show right now, which is good. This is all really good stuff. And there's a lot of people are going to have questions or like, yeah, I can identify with that. Let's talk about the hangover, the last paycheck. You know, you hit the retirement button, you're done. Now you're in retirement and you're like, well, am I going to be able to survive?
Yeah.
You know, are dividends going to be enough? What happens? I understand dividends. I understand where I'm at, but what happens when the market dives?
It takes a few months, really, maybe even that whole first year to really have the confidence sometimes for you to be like, oh, okay, the checks are still coming. It takes a season where the market kind of dips for a month or two to really see that red where you're like, ooh, I'm really nervous about this, but yet, oh, my checks still came. My dividends are still flowing in. They didn't reduce. Nothing happened. You know, and you have this thought as well that I find very interesting for new retirees is that, like, we have it here is like this freezing, like they're really scared to kind of touch the income.
Yep.
You know, it's like almost you got to know your business to know how much of this can I actually touch. Do we have surplus? Are we just paying out everything that comes in? You know, kind of really understanding everything again as they move into retirement. It's those first few months are really, I feel like we spend a lot of time around it.
Oh, and clients sometimes in year 3.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get a little complacent, which we talked about in other shows, where it's like, well, I got all these buckets of money, you know, and you're like, well, that's actually your paycheck. That's like, you know, hey, we got all these lines that are producing all this revenue, and I'm just going to sell this line right now.
Right.
And now my entire paycheck is now less.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and you have clients that are like, well, to Nikki's point, I'm just going to enjoy my life.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not, there's no longevity in my family, so I'm just going to start spending.
Yep.
And you're like, well, wait, we're like 5 years later.
Yeah.
You have half your assets or 30% of your assets left. You just enjoyed your life. And now you're like, well, what am I going to do now?
Yep.
Because you can have both. Because we're talking about the kind of the deer in the headlights effect of that paycheck right now, loss of working. And now you're in retirement, but then you have that aggressive, sometimes investor or retiree that's like, oh, we're good. Like, I'm comfortable now.
Yeah.
Because there is a progression here where there's the anxiety of retiring, then that first year transition. And you can transition really the year before if we do some of the things that we're talking about, know your business, watch your dividends. Like, you can feel really confident going in. Still a transition year. It's still a new identity pattern. It's a new, like, it's always going to be that transition, no matter how confident
you are. Be careful to go too far one way or the other.
Yeah.
But then it's really that third and fourth year where I feel like then they get really comfortable.
When you've seen some growth on the account and you're like, oh, okay, we were good when my account was at 800. Now it's at $1 million. I got 200,000.
Yeah.
Great. Let's go sell some of that and take a big trip. And it's like, that's also your paycheck.
That's also your paycheck. And we have this conversation all the time. Should I do this project or this big, huge trip all now and spend down the principal? Or should I get some of those renovations done over time and just use the income instead of selling the branch or the root? Because to Kyle's point, people will turn around and they ripped off the root that was producing the leaves or the apples.
So this is another show. We're like creating all kinds of shows here.
I was leaning on what he said, but he's so right. You get excited in that first year and you're like, I feel really good. And then you don't realize that feeling really good, if you go and take the branch, there's not going to be as many apples or leaves, depending on which client I'm talking to.
Well,
it's going to fall the next year. So you got to be careful in that first year.
It's not necessarily, yes, it is being careful, but to frame it through the lens of how a lot of our clients see it is debt.
Yes.
And they're like, well, I've got the money over here in account A.
Oh, that's good.
I'm in retirement. I don't want debt, so I'm not going to take out a loan. Well, if you have the money to pay for it, it's not really debt.
Right.
It's just a payment plan. So sometimes helping a client understand the logic of what I'm saying right here, where yes, you've got $50,000 in the account over here or lots more, and you have a $50,000 project here. The worst thing that you can do is spend the 50 because you're cutting the branch off.
Yeah.
You can't grow anymore. It's done and severed. And now you just have a pretty looking project.
Right.
And no more asset. Or you can keep the asset, pay for the project over time, and you get both.
Right.
So the reality
patient.
is there's a little bit of patience. There's a little bit of perspective. There's a little bit of understanding going, I can write the check, but I'm not. I'm being more thoughtful and
Yes.
And I'm planning a little bit deeper.
You nailed it on the head, though, with the mindset of debt. Most of our clients, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of our clients, again, have done quite well for themselves. They've lived within their means. Debt is like scary. And to do that when you're no longer getting that traditional paycheck that you're used to, that can be scary, especially if you're in the retirement
It's
part
framing.
of it.
It's framing it. So
And that's a lot of
Right.
retirement goal too, right?
Yeah.
Like by the time I retire, I want to have everything paid
off.
for.
Yes, it
Yep.
is. That's a really good way to.
So to
Spend that.
reintroduce it for small projects, it's like, why would I do that?
Right.
I have the money.
I've worked so hard
Right.
to pay everything off.
Again, that's
Why would
selling
I
a
do-
line of business that's generating revenue so that you can have this thing long term might not be the best benefit to
Yep.
the client.
Well, it's like selling the property that pays you the rent check every month that you rely on.
Or quitting the job when you need the check.
When you're quitting the job, you need a check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not okay, let's land this plane. What does success really look like for a retiree in the first year? So we've gone through the practice. We've
Oh,
known
I'm getting the handoff.
We
for
know
this?
gotta
your
hit
business.
it. You gotta hit it.
You know your business, and
That's it.
you are living out your plan, right? You're living out your plan. You set your budget. You know your business. You enjoyed life leading up to it.
Mhm.
You get to retirement, and now what you planned to need to go have those trips, to go visit your grandkids, to go visit your kid, whatever it is, go to games. You can now do that because you have planned properly for the income that you need in retirement. And now it's there. And you're living off those. You're not having to sell your principal. That's perfect.
For me, through the lens of a lot of the clients that I've had the privilege of walking into retirement with, I think it's like a new footing. You know, you go from one moving boat because a job is, and you know, even if you're the owner, you know, of a business, nothing's guaranteed in life. Things can go awry. So no matter what your vocation is, bad things can happen, changes can. So it's a boat, but it's a firm. You know, when you're getting ready to retire, sell your business, whatever, you're at a point where it's a firm foundation, but it's still a moving, rocking island, right? And then you're going into a new one. So you're stepping off of what you know to be secure into something that you're new at.
Right.
You have a new identity, a new
Thought that was
normal,
secure. Yeah.
and you're like steady here, even though it's still moving.
Yeah.
Moving to a no.
But you know that one.
You know this
Right.
one. You're comfortable.
You know that
So
one. You
your
got
first-
30 years of that paycheck
Right.
coming in.
I would say for me, what success looks like is getting comfortable in the new normal. It's understanding the new identity. It's getting right with the retirement, the dividends, social securities, what's coming in from an income standpoint, and getting your footing, feeling secure in the new normal changes a lot in that first year.
And I would say giving yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to go perfect. And outside of something really bizarre happening, your first year typically isn't going to derail everything. Outside of something really crazy happening.
Right.
So it's like, give yourself some grace. You're learning, but you got to follow the plan a little bit.
What you just said there is like the true statement of a financial advisor. truth, disclosure.
Yeah.
Truth, disclosure. It's like,
we've all sat down too where they're like, I'm about to cut half of this because I just want to pay off my house. And it's like, let's run those numbers one more time.
the life of a financial advisor. All right. So any last truths to land this plane on, besides the fact that if you subscribe to the show, which we still forget every time, and you put in the comments below a Dividend starter kit, we'd be happy to send you one absolutely free. But is there anything else that we want to state? Or
that would have been mine. Give yourself some margin there. Plan early. Get used to the income that you're going to be on before you ever get there. Because you don't want the first day of retirement or the first few paychecks, first quarter, whatever that is, to be the first time you've ever lived on this new income.
Right. That was going to be my line. Know your business, but live your business. Because it's very easy to talk a game. Then you got to go play. So play the game a little bit ahead of
your business, live your business.
Know your business.
Nicky-isms going strong today.
There we go. I'll drop the mic on that one. Know your business, live your business.
Yeah, and I would just reiterate the grace factor as well as just the idea of having a rehearsal year. I love that concept. You know, the fact that it's too easy for someone just to up and retire and say, okay, I'm done. What do I need to do now? You know, it's too easy to pay off the house.
Hope it works.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Been living on 250. Now we're going to 150.
Yeah.
We got this.
Yeah.
That's right. Powerball's up to X. Let's make that happen. But yeah, just have a little bit of patience, have a little grace, and work through it.
That's right.
Hope you enjoyed the show today.